Something extraordinary happened on July 4th, something that has left the entire crypto world, especially the Bitcoin ecosystem, completely stunned.
Disclaimer: this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only and does not constitute financial advice. Cryptocurrency markets are volatile. Always do your own research and consult with a licensed advisor before investing. 80,000 Bitcoin, $8.6 billion, vanished from dormancy after 14 silent years. Was it a legendary crypto whale finally waking up, or the greatest digital heist in history unfolding in plain sight? What really happened on July 4th, 2025? Chapter 1. A sleeping giant wakes. Imagine hiding a treasure chest in the woods in 2011. Inside, only a few $100s worth of gold. You forget about it, the world changes, gold prices explode, and 14 years later, someone quietly, without warning, digs it up and moves it somewhere else. That's essentially what just happened in the crypto world. Except the treasure was not gold, it was Bitcoin, and the chest held not hundreds, but billions of dollars. Specifically, 80,000 Bitcoins valued at $8.6 billion, stored in 8 ancient wallets, untouched since 2011. Then, suddenly, on July 4th, 2025, they started moving. Bitcoin, as most know, is the digital currency that launched the entire crypto revolution. Back in 2011, it was practically worthless, just $0.78 per Bitcoin. But those who mined it early and held onto it, like digital prospectors, became incredibly wealthy as Bitcoin surged past $100,000 per coin. These early holders are often called OGs or whales, due to the size of their holdings. One of those whales has performed this action. In the crypto world, such a move, especially involving $8.6 billion, can mean many things. A major investor making moves, a strategic transfer, or worse, a hack. And this is where the real fear begins. Chapter 2. Unraveling the digital trail. To understand the magnitude of this event, we must follow the digital footsteps left behind on the blockchain, a public ledger that records every transaction made with Bitcoin. Unlike traditional banking, where transfers are often private, anyone in the world can track a Bitcoin movement down to the second. Here's what we know. 8 wallets, each holding exactly 10,000 Bitcoin, were first funded in 2011. For over a decade, these addresses stayed silent. Then, on July 4th, 2025, 2 of these dormant wallets suddenly activated. In a precise 30-minute window, both wallets transferred their 10,000 Bitcoin each to new addresses. The total 20,000 Bitcoins moved in less than an hour, worth over $2 billion at current prices. 2 days later, the remaining 6 wallets followed suit, moving their own 10,000 Bitcoin each, another 60,000 Bitcoin. All 8 wallets, every last one of them, had now been emptied and moved to 8 new modern wallets, which currently sit untouched. So far, none of the transferred Bitcoin has been sold or liquidated. It's as if someone picked up the treasure chest, carried it to a new hiding place, and is now just watching, waiting. But the oddities don't stop at timing. According to analysts, this was no ordinary transfer. There were no signs of automation, no batching of transactions, and no exchange behavior. This wasn't Coinbase or Binance or Kraken moving customer funds. The moves were manual and deliberate, carried out with precision. Even more puzzling, a single Bitcoin Cash transaction was spotted just 14 hours before the main Bitcoin movement. Bitcoin Cash is a fork of Bitcoin, created in 2017. Because of how forks work, anyone who owned Bitcoin in 2011 automatically received an equivalent amount of Bitcoin Cash. But unlike Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash isn't widely monitored by whale tracking tools. That makes it a great way to test private keys without drawing attention. This small Bitcoin Cash transfer was seen as a test transaction, possibly to check if the person moving the funds had access to the private keys. Once it succeeded, the Bitcoin followed. To experts like Connor Grogan, head of product at Coinbase, this was a red flag. Grogan wrote on X, "There is a small possibility that the $8 billion in Bitcoin that recently woke up were hacked or compromised private keys." He emphasized that it's speculation, but if true, it would be the largest heist in human history. Chapter 3. A digital heist or just a whale stretching? The immediate aftermath was chaos, not in the streets, but on trading platforms, charts, and social media. Bitcoin's price dipped 1.6%, falling below $108,000 as news of the transfer spread like wildfire. This drop came on Independence Day in the US, a public holiday when markets were otherwise closed. Yet, just the movement of coins, without a single sale, sent shockwaves through the ecosystem. Why? Because Bitcoin is confidence. Its value isn't backed by gold or governments, it's backed by trust in the system, in the code, and in the network's security. When dormant, high-value wallets suddenly activate, that trust wavers, especially if those wallets are so old they might belong to the network's creator, Satoshi Nakamoto. These thoughts, while speculative, are not without precedent. Satoshi has never spent a single coin from his own mined stash, which totals around 1 million Bitcoin. If someone ever did move those coins, it would signal either his return or that his private keys were compromised. Either scenario could trigger an industry-wide panic. Meanwhile, analysts like Rect Capital warned that Bitcoin's technical charts showed signs of weakness. Bitcoin is losing the diagonal for the moment, he noted, referring to a trend line that had supported the bull market since its last all-time high of $112,000. If Bitcoin closes below that support line, even temporarily, it could trigger a sell-off cascade, especially if market participants suspect more dormant whales might wake up, or worse, that this wasn't a move, but a breach. Adding to the suspense is the behavior of the new wallets. The 80,000 Bitcoin now sit unmoved in 8 newly created modern addresses. Not sold, not touched, not even split. This suggests either a very cautious whale or a thief who doesn't want to raise further alarms yet. Security experts are ringing bells. Chapter 4: Core Concerns and Theories. A theft of this size wouldn't just be a black eye for Bitcoin. It could invite new regulations, stricter exchange scrutiny, and questions from governments who have already been skeptical about crypto's Wild West nature. As Grogan pointed out, even unconfirmed hacks can damage investor confidence. This kind of event is a vulnerability not just in Bitcoin's code, but in its image as a secure, decentralized system. If something like this can happen, if private keys can be stolen even after 14 years, it forces a hard conversation about crypto security. Another theory gaining traction is that the owner is testing liquidity, splitting the coins into modern wallets to prepare for future use. This could mean eventual market manipulation or even backroom over-the-counter deals with institutions. If this is the case, then what we're seeing isn't theft, it's strategy. But again, the silence that followed the transfers raises questions. Why not issue a message? Why not let the community know it's all safe and under control? Regardless of which theory is correct, the implications are serious. Chapter 5: What's at stake? There are roughly $8.6 billion worth of Bitcoins now sitting in modern wallets. If even a fraction of that hits the market, it could send Bitcoin's price tumbling. Some analysts have warned that Bitcoin could fall below $100,000, a significant drop, especially given recent rallies fueled by ETF approvals and institutional momentum. The fear isn't just about price volatility, but about perception. A sudden, unexplained move of such magnitude can shake investor confidence, especially for newcomers or large institutions. And then if this was a hack, if somehow someone found a way to crack or steal private keys from over a decade ago, it would be a nuclear-level blow to Bitcoin's perceived security. Even unconfirmed rumors can do damage. Already, blockchain tracking firms like Arkham and CoinGlass have placed the new wallets on high alert. Every move will be watched, dissected, and interpreted. And lawmakers, particularly those skeptical of crypto, now have new ammunition. They might use this event to push for stronger regulations, calling for deeper know-your-customer practices, tighter custody rules, and even enhanced surveillance tools on blockchain activity. The entire ecosystem could change based on what happens next. Meanwhile, traders are keeping their eyes glued to the charts. Bitcoin is hovering near the $110,000 resistance zone, and any signal that these dormant funds are about to re-enter the market could trigger a liquidation spiral. It's a delicate balance between fear and greed, with billions at stake. And so, we wait, watching, guessing, analyzing, but in a space built on code, consensus, and trust, one unanswered question still lingers in the air like static electricity. Did we just witness history, or the beginning of something far more dangerous?